everyone, hope you are doing well. I'm Beatrix and here is my first big coding project that relates to the API stuff. And today I would like to show you how I created the meal reminder and food generator in the form of SMS using Azure function and different types of API. It was so fun working on this, and let's get started. So about me, I'm Beatrix Cendana and I'm an international student from Indonesia that currently studying in the US. Actually, I'm not coming from a tech background. I switched my career from medical to tech after graduating from college in my country. I first got into programming when I was in college, which was second year. I thought to go to data science, so I took lots of math classes, Java 1 and 2 classes, but now I end up pursuing another career, which is UX designer. Designing a variety of websites or apps in non-profit organization in the US and in my country. I also contribute to helping big project as a tech writer. I wrote or fixed some documentation on big project GitHub basically. Problem. This is the most interesting part to me. Because we need to find out who will use my SMS feature. So I think the user should be people who work from home, such as developer, designer, full-time mom, etc. Let's take a look what are the problems. First, I like to cook different kinds of foods, especially that can be cooked under 30 minutes. Second, as an international student that works or studies from home due to the pandemic, I need a product that can help me to generate a random recipe for daily cooking. Also, I need a reminder when it's time for me to have lunch or breakfast. I always focus on working without thinking about having a meal on the proper schedule. This can lead to the risk of weight gain and lower energy levels, which impact our productivity at work. So I made a hypothesis that others also have the same problem as me. I figured that most users that I interviewed are developers, and here is the result. 6 out of 10 people always eat instant noodle or instant foods because they have no idea what to cook or prepare. That's why I created this feature. I tried to apply the coding skills that I learned from the previous week, week 1 until 4 in my final project. The skills included how to use Twilio to get the message response, how to use timer function to get the scheduled message or reminder. I also added the HTTP function with the application of the API. And another thing that I learned is also to publish or deploy the code to Azure functions. And the unique thing about Azure, I can test the code basically. Lastly, I also learned to have a habit to save the host key or API as an environment variable in application settings because it is the most secure system. I learn new things outside the camp. The one that I learned outside the camp is to connect two functions together, timer and HTTP function. and to get the message response from the Twilio system to the user. To help me gaining understanding about that, I read lots of documentation from Twilio, and of course my best friend, you can guess, Stack Overflow. Then I applied some of them in my functions. Solution. The solution is to create the SMS reminder feature assistant. I create an eating reminder 2 times a day, which are breakfast and lunch. So there are 2 timer functions basically. The reason why, because timer function uses the timer trigger attribute, which has a single lock feature to ensure only a single instance of the function is running at any given time. Then the second solution is to let users type one ingredient that they want in their foods, for example chicken. Then the system will automatically send the user the random recipe, including the description and the link to view more. Technologies. So here are the technologies that I used. I create the timer function and connect it with my Twilio SMS API to send the morning reminder message to the user. Then the user will send back the response to the system. For example, honey, bread, or chicken. So, actually I changed my mind not to include Tasty API for my function. Instead, I use Spoonacular API. Tasty API has a problem with my subscription and the key. So as a result, the user gets the link and the name of the recipe. If the user is not satisfied with the result, they can retype the new ingredient. Yeah, for the demo, I only show the breakfast section because the lunch part is only following the same code pattern. And here is my timer function code. So I use few packages such as notefetch to get the data from Food API, and I include all the information that relates to Twilio API. I save it as an environment variable in application settings in my Azure function. I also use client.messages to send a message from sender to user number, in this case recipient number. When the user getting a message, Azure shows me that message was sent. I also use catch statement to catch the error, in this case if the message is not sent to the user. I added a new assign function, which is to call my HTTP trigger function to send back the recipe link to the user. And for function.json, I also added something to it. I changed the time to 6:50 AM PST, which is Pacific time. I also include the Twilio bindings such as account SID and token settings. And here is my HTTP function. Sorry, I forgot to change the name to Spoonacular API recipe. I think it's fine. I also use some packages such as notefetch, and I also use Express. Express is to create server-side application. And then I use 3ML messaging response to send a message to the user. HTTP required to use the HTTP server. I also set query and the body as user input recipe. I also use app.post to send the recipe link. I also fetch the Spoonacular API with the get method. Also, I added the if statement. This is just for testing purpose. I want to see if it's running error or not. I added the port as well. So let's try to run the timer function. Yeah, with my Azure function. So let's wait for a bit and then we test and run. Yeah, I got two results. The first one is running. I got the message in my phone, basically. But for the second one, I'm not sure why I'm running into this error. Few days ago, I did the demo by myself and it worked. The error is because of JSON, but I still get the reminder message. Yay! Actually, I also added the MMS feature on my Twilio. I wish that I could send back the response like bread or honey. However, because of the problem with the port issue and this thing, it blocks me to get the result that I want. And let's go back to my presentation. Okay. What went well? I think I could find good documentation to create the reminder and implemented it into the final project. I was able to connect the timer function with Twilio. During my week 1 and 2 of final project, I was getting error due to the problem with the time zone. However, I was able to fix it. What to do next? Even though there is always something that's not working with my functions due to the port system and Twilio, it's always fun working on this project and learn a lot from this. I will plan to continue the project even after the camp. But at that time, I will probably apply Azure Durable function instead of using the timer function or HTTP for the future app. Challenge. The challenges that I ran into were mostly figuring out the best documentation to help me work on the APIs. Also, debugging the code was the most challenging part for me due to the limited knowledge and time to learn more about serverless function. Also, as I mentioned in the previous demo, I had a problem with the API port that cannot be solved yet. And the third problem was the API issue. I changed the Food API from Tasty to Spoonacular API in week 2 because of the problem with the subscription key. The last problem was also the invalid JSON response that we got from the demo. During my time at the camp, I learned a lot about using time wisely, being patient, and not giving up on doing more research. If one thing doesn't work, it doesn't mean this will be the end of the world. I also realized that I couldn't finish the final project perfectly due to the limited time working on the code. I wanted to give up, but something that I always remember, there is no failure except in no longer trying. This quote is by Albert Hubbard, who was an American writer. That's how it works with the code, right? We should always try and be ready with a bunch of the errors. Lastly, I would like to express my gratitude to Beat project team members, Emily, Shreya, Daniel, Misha, and other team members, and also my mentor, my special mentor, Jonah, for giving me such a huge opportunity to learn more about API or serverless function. Also, help me practice my time management and help me practice my presentation skills. I never thought that I would work on this kind of great project. Okay, I think that's all about my final project. Thank you for listening and hope you have a good day. Bye.